Hello, you beautiful people. My name is Mark Love, and this is Conversations with Our Daughter, a limited series podcast wherein my wife Jackie and I chat to our adult daughter Lauren about her experiences of school and life in general, prior to her diagnosis of Autism Spectrum Disorder at the age of 16. Now, we love words and we're not easily offended, so you might find some of the language or humour questionable, in which case, thank you for listening and toodaloo. However, if you can look past the occasional lapses into dad jokes and the obvious inadequacies of our recording setup, you'll hopefully get to enjoy some insights into the everyday experience of autism from an eloquent and thoughtful young woman who can see and understand both sides of some of the issues associated with this strange and baffling condition. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's get on with it, shall we? Hello, me again. Just an additional point. We actually recorded this episode before any of the others. Consequently, the quality of the recording is slightly worse. We've included it because I asked Lauren what she thinks we got right and got wrong with her before and after her diagnosis, and interesting issues arise. So, hope you enjoy it. Right, so going back to your list of reasons why mum and dad should be incarcerated for the rest of their lives.
Hurrying me when we need to go somewhere. That's not very helpful when people tell me to hurry up, because then I'm just going to forget something that I need. And it's also, I can't go as fast as other people can. I just won't remember all my things.
No, this is still a bone of contention. You won't detach from whatever you're doing until the very last moment, will you?
Depends what it is.
No, you won't. If you're doing something on the computer and you know we're going out, you'll wait till we're downstairs in coats, arms crossed, shouting up at you, "Are you ready?" I say, "Yeah." And then you turn off your computer, and it's a PC, so it takes about 12 hours to wind down.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Awful PCs.
It's not that awful.
They're awful. Yours is particularly awful.
It's not that awful.
Yes, it is. Anyway, so then you go and find the actual footwear that you're going to wear. And by footwear, I mean socks and shoes.
You usually have socks on.
You'll probably go for a wee at this point. And then you'll put your socks and your shoes on, and that will take forever. And then you'll go for another wee just to be sure. And then there'll be something you might have forgotten upstairs. And then you'll come back downstairs and say to Mum, "Am I going to be okay in this top?" At which case we've been waiting downstairs with Zach in hot gloves, hot boots, hot coat, hot hat for a good 15 to 20 minutes. And you'll say, "Stop hurrying me, stop hurrying me."
I'll forget something. I don't like having to have all my have a coat or have my shoes on before I need to.
And neither does Zach. But you do it to him every single time.
But I'm not really very good at planning when to stop doing what I'm doing, but I like what I'm doing and then I'm involved in it, so I don't want to stop.
As you're being dragged away, yeah. I kind of get it, but again, the one that used to get me when you were young was refusing to put your shoes on before you went into the bathroom, which you knew that your brother had completely flooded, and I'd only had a few seconds to try and mop up, and he would go in socks every single morning, and he would come out and say, "My socks are wet." "Yes, because you didn't put your shoes on."
I don't remember this.
Yes, every single morning. And I would say to you, "Why can't you put your shoes on before you go in bed?" And he'd say, "That's not how I do things." Oh my God. And that was really when I started thinking, yep, she's on the spectrum. "What do you mean? But you've now got wet socks." "I'll just go and change them."
I was fine with it.
Yes, I know you were fine again. Pushing the extra laundry onto Dad. And also something that could be avoided. And not making a great effort to avoid it. That was every morning that you were at school. "Put your shoes on." "Put your shoes on." "You'll get wet socks." "Oh, I've got wet socks." Yes.
I don't think I like being told what to do.
No, I noticed that. Yeah.
It does quite annoy me.
Yeah, well, I get that. I mean, I think ever since you were a baby, like when you first came out, you just had your own way of doing things, and that we've been kind of like being in slight conflict with that ever since. Most of the stuff that we do, you don't mind doing, so we don't have huge amounts of conflict. But yeah, I think this was what made it so hard for us to completely get used to the fact that you were on the autistic spectrum, because it's kind of, is she just incredibly strong-minded? You know, we've both of us met women before who were going, no, this is how it's going to be, no nonsense, no fuss. Is your leg hanging off? Well, just put a bandage around it. And it looked like you were very much of that type. And, you know, for the early parts of these, they were just, oh, she's just going to be one of those. We just pitied whoever you ended up with, because they were never going to have a life of their own. They were only going to have whatever you told them to do. I mean, that could possibly still happen. But it was only when you started getting nervous and hesitant that it became like, oh, actually this isn't, and really unsure around other people's behaviours. There's nothing more confident or idiotic than a small boy. And small boys, again, I had 2 try and run in front of the swings again this morning. That's 3 days in a row. I've had suicidal children try and run in front of an adult swinging.
Kamikaze kids.
Kamikaze kids, exactly. And you just think, oh my God. I don't know who's the most at fault here, the stupid parents who was a childminder today who was looking the other way. Or, you know, obviously the kids are just thick. They know nothing. And they know nothing at all. To trust them with anything is futile. But you kind of knew this. You think these kids are being rude and they're jostling and fighting and doing stuff, and that's just outrageous. And you'd stand on the periphery, almost like kind of like with this imaginary clipboard, writing down things that were wrong with their behaviour, and then you'd want to talk about it for a couple of hours, or at least all the way into school and all the way back. Why were those people being like that? Why were they doing this? Why were they doing that?
I think, yeah, basically all the way through school, from like lower school to upper school, I was intrigued by the way the other kids behaved, but for the most part I was just disgusted by their behaviours. Like, I just found most of the children my age I just found unpleasant or objectionable for whatever reason.
Yeah, most children are. But yeah, it was also, you were completely unforgiving with it. You were very strict. It's kind of, unless they absolutely operated within the parameters that you thought were okay, you didn't give them any leeway at all. So say if a kid was just a little bit boisterous or just a little bit over assertive, you'd just automatically pigeonhole in with the ne'er-do-wells and the trouble causers, and the really psychopathic arsehole boys, which there are plenty of. So it was, I mean, I remember I was trying to explain to him, okay, you've just got to be a little bit more accepting of other people's differences. But difference, it was like you didn't like the difference.
But now I'm a judgy adult.
And now you're a judgy adult. And quite good, is it? You could be a film critic or a rock critic, just not a particularly kind one sometimes. Yeah, that's again, it was all, we were learning how to try and explain things, because we thought we were explaining to a neurotypical child, and then realising that not all of this stuff was landing. So then we just thought, oh, she's thick. She's just stupid. We thought we were going to get a clever one, but no, she's really, really thick. But then obviously over the years, you thought, oh, she's not that stupid. It must be something else. And it was almost like you were deflecting anything that you didn't like, or that you thought was kind of a psychological affectation of you being overconfident. Oh, that you don't need to be that. Stop being that. It's just not the right way to behave. It's been education, darling. It really has. I think I know you alongside Mum, as probably better than anybody knows you on the planet, and still you surprise me in a good way, occasionally in a baffling way. And occasionally just by the amount of patterns you're wearing all at the same time. So it is, you've done your, turning the question around a little bit. What have you done? I mean, in some respects you have, when you're in a good mood and when you're able to explain it, you've done quite a good job of explaining it. So much so that I can then transplant that onto your brother's behaviour sometimes. I think, well, if that's how she feels, that's probably how he feels at some level. And he's still a twat, but at least I understand why he's being a twat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your list is probably still achingly long, isn't it?
Well, there's a few more things.
Go for it.
Impatience, especially when I need to finish something. So sometimes if we get into an argument and I need to finish the point I'm making, not letting me do that. Like, I need to finish what I'm saying. Or other times when we're talking and I've got a list, I need to read the entire list. I can't just read a bit of the list. I need to finish it.
Yeah. When the rest of the world is hearing this, you've just lost them. This is when the argument... Look up for on your face. The argument is just turning my face. How long is a list?
It depends how long it needs to be.
Well, exactly. And how long is it tolerable to listen to someone just intoning a list at you?
Some of my lists are interesting.
Some of them are very, very interesting. Possibly not when we're trying to do other things.
But once I've started...
Well, yeah, you see, that doesn't... In neurotypical land, that doesn't work. It's kind of... You don't just keep bludgeoning at someone just because you feel that you can't stop. If someone is showing no interest, you stop. I can't tell you how many times a certain friend of mine, I start something that I think is really interesting and he just absolutely cuts it off. And if I were you, I would feel aggrieved and I'd try and reinsert it. And I've just learned over the years that it's pointless to do that with him, so I just stop. He's not interested.
But I like this a lot. And if you're going to write out a list and then complete all the tasks on it, like, you wouldn't not finish the list. The objective is to finish it. So if I read it out, why would the objective be to not finish reading it out?
But you will read any kind of list to us at all.
But you should enjoy it.
Yeah, but these lists can be what?
And
you told me about all of the personnel deaths, career breaks of the B-52s and garbage over the years, which were... you're looking confused as to why would that not be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting, but some of it I know. You've also told me about God knows how many different lighting techniques, which I can't possibly hope to retain in my head. You still got the perplexed look on your face. Yes, I'm imparting great knowledge to you.
I don't necessarily expect you to remember, but I need to say things that I know.
Yeah. But can you not see, like, I'm a musician, I like recording and, making music. But if I listed every single instrument on the tracks I'm doing and all the effects that I'd put on there and how I slightly twisted one of the words around to make it fit into a stanza, and I just kept telling you that for every single song that I've written, how joyous would you find that experience?
Less so.
Less so. So it's about you not wanting to be interrupted, but you not particularly wanting to hear other people do the same. Yeah. So you have autistic colleagues, you have autistic friends, and when they start going off on one about something, what do you do then? Do you just politely listen to it all, or do you try and interject something?
Well, with one of them, I'll just try and ask him loads of other different questions about it, so he'll move off of that one thing. Mm-hmm. But then he's still talking about a thing for ages that I don't always care about. Mm-hmm. But if I get to ask a lot of questions, then I don't mind it, because otherwise I just have to listen.
On the subject of the argument thing, yes, you're right, sometimes we do cut you off. But you can imagine if that same friend who you were just talking about was talking about a particular episode of, like, a Marvel film, and say it was Avengers Infinity, no, the Endgame. I said, and right at the end, Thanos extends his neck and then they cut off his head. And you're going, yeah, no, I've seen it. I know. You don't need to tell me how it ends. I know. I absolutely know. I have seen it. And sometimes when we're having arguments, you are saying stuff that we know, we were there. We absolutely know what you're saying.
But sometimes you've not understood the full perspective, or you don't have the full information.
I don't know. That would have to be taken case by case.
And sometimes you're not always there.
There.
Well, yeah, sometimes you're not at places with me. Sometimes it's me, like, telling you, like, what's happened in a certain situation.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, that's the problem of second-hand reporting as well, because sometimes you miss out a very, very important detail. Like, really getting aggressive and, just being really, really nasty. And then you'll say, oh, and it was a bear. Well, what? When? You never mentioned it was a bear. And, that changes everything. And we were saying, be tolerant. They're just trying to get something off their chest. It was a bear! You didn't say it was a bear! Important detail. So, yeah, I mean, some of that's just communication. Yeah, but obviously you harbour a deep and an aggressive grudge about that one, so we probably just have to let that one go. It's a bear. If it's a bear, tell us it's a bear. Go on.
That's probably my list.
That's your list. So basically we did really, really well. A+, like, distinction.
I don't know.
B.
Maybe like C+.
Oh.
Maybe B-, C+, B- around there.
How you're not currently in therapy or anything.
Yeah.
Would you like to be?
I've done counselling.
You have, yeah. Haven't we all? To be honest, C+ I'd probably take. Yeah. I mean, if you kind of... It's weird. You expect having kids to be being forced to learn how to juggle, even if you don't have any of those skills, which would normally make a good juggler. But then it's all the things that you're being asked to juggle are objects you've never seen before. They're all a weird shape and not very easily juggleable. So I think if occasionally we manage to keep the juggling going for like longer than 60 seconds, that's pretty darn good. Would we have done things differently? Well, we would have done, because we would have had it forced upon us. If we'd have known right from like when you were 2 that you're on the autistic spectrum, it probably would have completely changed how we treated you initially, because we did expect you to pull yourself together and pull yourself up, because you seemed capable of doing that, and you were capable of doing that. So it's difficult for me to say that I regret some of those conflicts and things in some respects, because I think possibly you would be a lot more, and I'm using speech marks here for the purposes of recording, disabled.
Yeah, I don't.
If we hadn't confronted some of that stuff.
I don't necessarily regret all of the arguments and stuff, but there were just bits I didn't like about them, or bits that you didn't understand. But I think if I'd been diagnosed younger, I definitely would have used it as an excuse, and then it might have been a lot more easy for me, guys. Just for me to say to you guys, like, oh, that makes me anxious, or I don't like the way that sounds, or...
I'll say it right. That gives me anxiety. Anxiety. Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? It's something that's going to make her parents' flesh crawl. I've got anxiety. You mean you're nervous? Everybody gets nervous. It's really difficult. I mean, we are where we are. We can only be where we can be. We have both learned a lot from it. I'm not going to have any more children, I've decided. I'm not sure how good at this we are.
Left it a bit late.
Also, don't have certain bits that I need for that. But, as challenging as it has been at times, I have enjoyed it. As revolting as you both can be, and as smelly as you both can be, I still love you very deeply. I know that causes you to roll your eyes, and don't say that. I don't expect a response back. I've long ago realised we don't get anything back unless you want something, or you want to make my sleeve wet by biting me. That's the closest it gets to affection. A weird hug, which is almost more like a headbutt.
I give hugs.
Yeah, kind of. You're usually facing people when you give hugs. That's the general definition of the... It's not all shoulder-based.
Sometimes I'm facing. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's when I know you want something. Can we have takeaway with that lovely little girl? That's what you do, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so we're trying this out, seeing how it's going. If anybody is listening, which I doubt because it's probably a really dodgy recording, thank you, and now fuck off and be nice to someone. Thank you very much for listening, and a very special thank you to Leona Fensom and Terry Lee for their technical support and advice. See you next time.